Hi, so we are here with Salvador Garcia, Chief Revenue Officer at Ocean-Based Climate Solutions. Thank you so much, Salvador, for taking the time to interview with me, to do this interview with me. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in sunny Albuquerque, New Mexico, the land of enchantment. Very beautiful out here. I hope one day you're able to come by and visit with your husband.
Thanks. So, Salvador, to start, I would like for you to tell me more about this company. What does the company do, and yeah.
Sure. Well, Ocean-Based Climate Solutions is a deep tech company that is building a technology that leverages ocean wave energy to physically pull CO2 from the atmosphere and convert it into ocean fish food in the open ocean. And by open ocean, I'm referring to hundreds of miles offshore where the ocean water is blue. Basically, it turns atmospheric CO2 into phytoplankton. Phytoplankton are these tiny organisms that use photosynthesis to absorb carbon dioxide, and they grow. They could double in mass every 24 hours. And this is a technique, this happens naturally along the coasts,
Mhm.
this upwelling, but out in the open ocean, it doesn't exist. So we insert our technology in the open ocean, use the wave energy to pump deep ocean water from a depth of 500 meters to the surface. And the moment that deep ocean water comes to the surface, it immediately grows phytoplankton. It's a bit complicated because there's a lot of science involved in it, but basically that deep ocean water has nutrients like phosphate, nitrate, silicate, and trace minerals like iron. So at the surface, there's only water, CO2, and sunlight. It's missing the nutrients. So the moment the deep ocean water comes to the surface, it grows phytoplankton. And this has been happening on Earth for the past 2.6 billion years. So it's very cool technology.
Yeah, something new. Okay, so and what type of marketing does the company use?
So right now we're focused on huge enterprises. They're the only ones that could really afford our technology at this stage. So we use account-based marketing. Account-based marketing is a strategy where we only have a finite number of customers that we are aware of that are interested in the carbon dioxide removal credits that our technology produces by capturing that CO2 and sinking it in the deep ocean as biomass. So it's very finite. So with account-based marketing, we basically have a tier system where we focus on companies that are actually purchasing carbon dioxide removal credits, and we start communicating with them by LinkedIn mostly, and any other networks that we have. And we provide them material about our technology. We invite them to visit our website so that they can educate themselves on it. And then once a customer or a prospect is interested, that's where sales comes in, and sales basically starts to evaluate whether whether the company really qualifies for our product. If they're really not that they're interested, but mostly that they qualify, and they'd be able to move forward with that. But I would say the technology is not commercial ready, which is why it's very challenging to find, the customers that would pay in like a beta version of this technology. It's early. We're early stage in that sense.
Okay. So you mentioned that you're using basically LinkedIn, right? To reach new customers.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you use
Yes.
the ads or?
No. We feel what we use is LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which
Uh-huh.
allows us to filter public companies. So tier one companies are companies that are public. Well, first of all, it's important to know that we select our initial batch of companies from the Science Based Target Initiative website. And it's this website where companies have come together and said, I'm going to be net zero by 2050. great. They're just saying like, I'm the customer right here for this technology. So we have like an initial database. Of that database, I then filter for companies that are public, because typically public companies have a little bit more money. And
Right.
then I then filter them by industry. So we've been primarily focused on the airline industry, since they're one of the hardest uh, industries to decarbonize. I mean, you see them in the air, and the jet fuel or whatever is just
Mhm.
trailing the airplanes. A lot of their jet fuel ends up in the oceans. Actually, the oceans absorb the majority of the world's heat, and if it weren't for the oceans, we would be in big trouble. So what we do is I use LinkedIn Sales Navigator to filter out, for example, Delta, American Airlines,
Mhm.
etc. I then look for. I read the sustainability report for each of these public companies every year. They, by law, they must report their sustainability efforts,
Mhm.
and they'll tell you how much CO2 that they have emitted, and I have an idea of like how many of our technology would fit, would help that company. But really, they have their own priorities. So I, find out who are the key players, and I basically develop a relationship, or I'm still working on developing a relationship with these customers, these
Mhm.
prospects. And it could take a year, it could take 2 years before a sale happens. Account-based marketing is not a fast sale.
Mhm.
These really take a lot of effort to create a business relationship with these different partners. And there's some challenges to it, in that some people who are working for the airline industry may change to another company, or may
Right.
change industries entirely in that time. But all the same, you're basically connecting with different people who make different decisions, and you're hoping that you influence each of those, so that if it ever does reach to a buying committee, you have a champion in there. So
Mhm.
really, the job here is to form a champion inside the enterprise, who would then go to bat for us in a meeting or what have you, that we wouldn't be involved in, um, and their internal debates would happen. And I would hope that I had contacted enough people in the organization
Mhm.
to have been able to plant enough educational seeds about our technologies, to where we would, basically they would assign who would be the person who would take on this role, and be the decision maker. And that's the hardest part, is with a huge enterprise like, for example, Delta. There isn't just one decision maker, there are several.
Right.
So it's very challenging to sell, especially a new technology,
Mhm.
to these airlines. But um, it takes patience, and account-based marketing is basically that. You have marketing and sales working together to
Mhm.
provide the educational information, and to basically think next steps. And it's important to be able to communicate in a way, an intro to the technology, or to the situation, really, not to
Mhm.
the technology, but an intro to the situation that we're in. Oh, we got to, you know I know that it's going to be very challenging for companies to get to net zero,
Mhm.
and the problem is you have this huge commitment to achieve net zero, but we have a solution. And the challenge then is transitioning into some sort of introductory call, and then from there building rapport, and,
Mhm.
and and really trying to dig into what are the needs, or desires of these companies, aside from greenwashing.
Uh-huh.
And
Right.
greenwashing is something that is, um, it is, uh, I wouldn't call it a disease, but it's a terrible byproduct of sustainability, in the sense that, look, I've invested in this solar farm or this wind energy farm. Okay, but now, we're asking these companies to also say, I'm investing in ocean-based climate solutions, because it does this. It generates our technology. It not only sequesters CO2, it
Mhm.
repopulates the ocean with marine life, phytoplankton, which feeds uh, zooplankton, which are like these small little creatures which feed small fish, which those small fish feed bigger fish, that feed sharks, that feed dolphins, that feed whales. I mean, it goes up the food chain, and eventually all
Mhm.
of those marine life die and they sink to the bottom of the ocean. And not a lot of people know this, but the majority of Earth's carbon dioxide is held in limestone deposited on the seafloor, and it got there over millions of years from phytoplankton and fish. So anyhow, it's basically just getting this story to as many people who could potentially be decision makers or influencers within the organization. So account-based marketing is something that I've been doing for the past 3 years. But prior to that, I was doing inbound marketing, a lot of B2C, and it's a completely different strategy. But account-based marketing I have found to be very fun in the sense that I get to interact with people. And you can probably tell I like doing that.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you try to build rapport with clients. Can you expand on that?
Sure. So, people don't necessarily buy the product you're selling, they buy you, the person. And it helps to, to talk about where you're from and try to find clues about, if there's any potential connection. Sometimes I don't have a connection with anybody, and the conversations are a bit dry, or could seem a bit egotistical, where I'll be like, yeah, I've arrived in Albuquerque. I was in Peru for 14 years. Peru, and then it might pique their interest. So we'll have a discussion maybe on Peru. But if there's something that they say, I usually try to get them to talk about themselves, and then I'll talk about myself and find some common ground, and then then segue into the problems that are occurring 1, 2, 3, 4, and then try to find it. Sometimes I'll present, or sometimes it'll just be a conversation. It just depends on the where we're going. With these enterprises, I usually have either 15 minutes or 30 minutes. Like the people that are hired by these top companies, very smart people, very busy people. I've injected myself into their lives. They've given me a chance, and I'll give them information about the technology, and the goal is then to go into exploration. Basically, is this, there's an intro call, then there's kind of an exploratory call that I want to get to, and then an advice call that I want to get to, which would be a third step. Unfortunately, with this technology, and I wish I could, sound even like more accomplished, I've not gotten into the advisory call yet. I have gotten into exploratory calls, but people will say, oh, your technology is a little early. We want it to be, commercial ready, essentially. And I'm not going to pull a Theranos and promise the whole world, like, I want to sell a technology that is, I want people to be wholly aware that we are at TRL 7, which just means technology readiness level 7. And for it to be commercial ready, we need to be at a TRL 9. But we're not there yet. We're probably a few years away. But we need the help of enterprises to believe in us and help us improve the technology. But that's it's not a really good selling point, but it's a truthful selling point.
Right. And how do you see this technology and evolving the next few years?
So this technology over the next few years is going to get better as long as there's investment. We are trying to raise money with VCs. Some are a little more tolerable than others in terms of where we are on our technology readiness level. We did raise $1 million in 2022, where we were able to test our technology off of Port Hueneme, California, just south of the Santa Cruz Islands, and off of the Canary Islands, in conjunction with GEOMAR, the German Oceanographic Research Institution, Ocean Visions, and the Spanish Ocean Research Institution in Las Palmas, Gran Canaria. And they went well. We learned a lot, but the product still needs testing to make sure that it lasts long, and we also need scientific testing. There's different ways of measuring the amount of CO2 that is sequestered. It's very challenging, though, in an open ocean system. But yeah, I believe if it gets the right investment within either 2 to 3 years, we should be much closer to being commercial ready.
I see. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And as a final question, how do you keep yourself up to date with new trends or to develop new skills?
Yeah, so on Twitter, I follow hashtag marketing. It's usually a lot of garbage sometimes, but I do follow people who are great marketers in inbound marketing and account-based marketing on Twitter. I also subscribe, or I've favorited like Google News marketing.
Uh-huh.
So I will catch some of the latest on marketing there. Um, yeah, and there's a couple of, you know what's weird? I've noticed that my TikTok is a bunch of marketing gurus that will be like, this is how you could do this on TikTok or what have you. There's not enough account-based marketing gurus
Mhm.
on TikTok, so maybe there's an idea there. But yeah, I pretty much stay on top of that. I read the news, and if there's anything new trending on in terms of marketing or marketing efficiency, ChatGPT, for example, I've been using
Mhm.
that a lot to help me with writing, responding to people. Like I will be like, respond favorably to this message, and I'll just copy the message, and then I'll read what the
Uh-huh.
ChatGPT says, and I'm like, okay, I'll tweak a few words, and then it saves me time. So
Right.
so it's been pretty helpful in that sense, Chat GPT, and I definitely recommend it for all marketers that are looking at saving some time. Yeah.
Mhm. And who are your favorite marketers that you follow?
I really I've been following Neil Patel since 2017, and he focuses more on um, a lot of SEO strategy. Actually, he does a lot of strategies.
Mhm.
I subscribe to his newsletter, and what I like most about him is that his content is actually helpful and educational.
Mhm.
And it shows he now has formed an agency, and they specialize in everything, essentially awareness, all the way to the sales funnel. Um, I would say he's my favorite and the one that I follow the most. Um, yeah, I mean, I could start going industry level, but I'll just leave it at Neil Patel for now. He's my favorite of them all. I really like his content. He really understands marketers, and I highly recommend, if you've never heard of him, go ahead and Google him and follow him on YouTube.
Mhm.
He's got great content.
I will. Well, Salvador, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thanks.